much. Thank you to all of you for joining the second webinar. We're very pleased to be here together. I saw some people from many places in the United States and also from Canada. So it's really nice to see a broad range of individuals. Today's a really special webinar. It's special because we get to be here with Bob Anderson, who has graciously agreed to spend some time with us and really help deepen the embodiment and the state of the things Kay and I have been talking and working on for the last couple of years. So, Bob, first of all, from both Kay and I, thank you for taking this hour with us. We know it's going to be special, and we're going to create magic in this hour together. So thank you very much for being with us.
Welcome.
Um, Thank you. Um, your background looks absolutely stunning as well. Folks, that is not a fake background. That is actually Bob's background and living room. Um, my name is Eva McCullen, and together with KV2, Kay, say hi, just so people know
Hi
who you
there.
are.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
We are the co-founders of Unlocking Eve. And I think we can pull up the slides because I think images say 1,000 words. And the first image is one of those that I wanted to just double click on to give us a sense of grounding in the room. This is our second webinar, and today we're going to be talking about the power of two and unlocking integrated leadership. Our purpose is to work with amazing community of leaders like yourselves and many others who are doing important work in the space to unlock integrated leadership in all humans and all people for a balanced and healthier world. And on the next slide, like I said, picture says 1,000 words. Our work began, we're both healthcare executives. I'm also a scientist by background, a chemistry and biologist by background, and K's and for mathematics. So it's nothing to do with that. But we're both very technical backgrounds. We worked in healthcare for a very long time, and in about a couple of years ago, we started to make an interesting observation around leadership, in our own leadership and the leadership of others, and that there was really this energy around feminine and masculine that when unlocked in both males and females and integrated, like the yin and the yang, the black and the white spot, and the white and the black spot, started to unleash a certain capacity for leaders to be able and ourselves to be able to be in more sync with our communities, our businesses, our organization, and lead in a very, very different way and get very, very different results. And so our journey really began there on the next slide in healthcare. We had this intuitive sense that there was something else going on beyond gender, that there was advantages that some women were showing, but this advantage of feminine energy and feminine capacity was actually in everybody, and that there was this beautiful masculine autonomous agency that was also available to everyone. But then this really came to a halt during the pandemic. We were looking at countries led by these type of leaders, predominantly women. They were getting 6 times less deaths due to COVID-19 and 40% better economic performance. And these weren't just small countries like New Zealand. Jacinda definitely was one of them, but it was also Angela Merkel in Germany. It was also a leader in Taiwan. And we started to get very curious. What is it about these leaders and how they are leading? And might we all start tapping into that agency and that energy to heal the world? And if we think about where we were 3 years ago or even 5 years ago with this intuition, we have a felt sense, like all of us, that we're on the verge of something really important and that there's a big shift in society. So our goal is only to add our small molecule, our small piece of energy to what's happening already. And by 2030, upend the paradigm of leadership, first in healthcare, but then also beyond healthcare, all the areas of that require a huge amount of healing in the biological sense, but also a huge amount of healing in a leadership sense. So on the next slide, Kay, I think I'll just pass it over to you in terms of where we are now and what we're going to experience with Bob's tremendous help in doing this work and his wealth of information in this actual workshop.
Thank you, Ava. I just want to also share about the work that we have been doing over the last 3 years with the insight that we have and the partners and the research that we have been doing. We codified this integration of the autonomous and relational energies that we've talked about. And the autonomous, we know that that has been traditionally defined as masculine capacities, but we're trying to redefine and translate that to what is relevant in today's world. And the translation of masculine and feminine energies, we are codifying that as in the model of integrated leadership as autonomous and relational. And this is a difference in terms of leadership models where we're really looking at capacities and not competencies or skill sets. We're really identifying capacities of a leader in the way to deploy these in a way that creates better outcomes, whether you're in leadership or you're in business or you're in the government space or nonprofit space. This model we have seen is relevant and applicable to all. The point that Ava made about the cultivation of this practice which we will experience today, this really is maximizing and unlocking the power of two that we're going to be also talking about. This power of two, we have identified that there is this power of duality within us, which is the autonomous and relational, but also the power of two, of the amplification of the power between individuals. This is definitely something that Ava and myself in our co-founding of Unlocking Eve and in our leadership have experienced tremendous amplification and expansion of our ranges because of our exchanges of the integrated capacities that we both have. And at the same time, we know that all of us are called to do something different in terms of the systems that we operate in, whether that's your family, whether that's your organization, or societies that you're leading. This is really the power beyond that is translated in terms of the power of integration. So, Bob, if we move to the second slide. How does the power of two, I'll talk more about this codification of the capacity to really unlock the integrated leadership. So on the next slide, the power of two really is a central framework and practice of integrated leadership. And if you look at the yin and yang we talked about, this is really not a separate framework or separate identities. These are concepts that we believe are existing one and among. This awareness and practice of integration really enables the leader to, one, think about very ambitious goals or solving complex problems, but at the same time hold this space and genuine concern for the holistic well-being of our people and also actually of the leader. We're going to talk about wholeness and completeness, but in this profound sense of unity and completeness is something that leaders tap into when you actually are integrating both those integrated autonomous and relational capacities. On the next slide, this session today for the next 45 minutes or so, we will tap into these two of the 8 capacities that we have shown in the model, specifically around the intuitive capacity. And what we mean by intuitive is really drawing upon both tangible and intangible sources of information. to inform decisions or inform our points of views. This includes not just the gut feels or past experiences that we've had, but really also our emotions to make judgments and inform decisions as leaders or parts of teams. So this intuition and intuitive is something that we want to be able to share with you. How do you tap into this intuition? And the exercises that Bob will lead us through is a practice that we believe can deepen your understanding, not just mentally understand the definition of intuitive, but actually feel and get a somatic understanding of this concept and capacity. And as we go through this intuition and intuitive capacity, there is another level of a more complex way of being. And this is as part of our integrated leadership. There's this integrative thinking where you're actually now combining and accessing and synergizing both your rational and intuitive insights. Again, in the service of problems that you're trying to solve, whether that's in a complex business that you're leading, that this will also help transcend both logic and intuition. A lot of the data that we get as leaders or as individuals today, the power of our capacity is actually how do we continually integrate this thinking into something holistic and comprehensive so that we can make these powerful decisions that produce breakthroughs and help us remove barriers for our teams or solve complex problems like healthcare, like climate change, or the situations that we're in terms of economic problems and challenges, or the wars that are happening all over the world. So there is this level of synthesis of information that we also want to be able to guide you through our time today.
And as you saw in our model, it wasn't just about, or what Kay is also talking about, it's not just about balancing. I think leaders have been pretty masterful at balancing, using intuition and using objective data kind of when the time called for. We're talking about a third higher form of capacity, which is using them simultaneously at once. Yeah, so I think practicing using one or the other, but actually using them one in one breath. And when that happens, there's a third or fourth form of breakthrough performance that can never happen when you're just tapping into them kind of in a situational setting. But it does take a reordering of the way of being. But in a very pragmatic sense, you start to see extraordinary outcomes that you would have never saw before. I think that concludes our framing. Framing is important so that we are anchored to why we are doing the exercises. But really what we're contributing to is an evolutionary body of work and science that is evolving. And who better to give us a sense of some of the evolutionary thinking in addition to what we were just talking about, other than Bob, who's steeped in this work with many wonderful people. So over to you, Bob.
Thank you. Wonderfully framed. Wow. I mean, it's this balancing of intuition and reason goes all the way back in my background to Peter Senge's work, The Fifth Discipline, and what I actually started to learn about intuition and really make it a practice from them. And so that's just, back in that 84 when they were really pioneering this notion that we've got to get these two things together, because the complexity. They were talking about complexity then, and it's just, it's gone off the charts. And so the complexity that we're in is unfigureoutable. And so how do we move forward as leaders in the unknown? Like, the challenge now for leaders is to lead from unknowing and needing breakthroughs. And thereby, how do we be informed by a larger intelligence that, as Emerson said, we lie in the lap of? And that's been metaphysics up until now. But quantum physics has started to create an understanding, and the fundamental understanding in quantum physics hasn't even made it into mainstream science yet, let alone the general population. And it actually creates a very cogent platform for how and why intuition actually works and can be a very, very powerful tool. So I want to just play around with some of the science here. Niels Bohr, one of the founders of quantum physics, said everything that we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real. And this is really important because we dismiss intuition because it doesn't fit our paradigm. And as he goes on to say, if quantum mechanics hasn't profoundly shocked you, you haven't understood it yet. So when I dove into this, and I won't get into the story about how I got interested in this, the first thing that shocked me was that matter is immaterial. That in quantum particle physics, there are no particles. And that we are spacious. We're 99.139 is empty space. Now I'm going to come back to empty space because empty space is not empty. But for the moment, let's just take it that we're very spacious. And so I started to play with what does this really mean? How do we put this in some perspective? So rather than try to grok this with your mind, just feel into it for a minute. The space in your body. That if we took all the humans on the planet, all 7.6 billion of us, and we could remove all the empty space between the protons and neutrons and electrons and pack it all together like oranges on a grocery shelf, all humans on the planet could fit in the space of a sugar cube. And easily that could dissolve in our morning cup of coffee. So I started to play with this. Where am I in this sugar cube? All right. So here's the sugar cube divided by 10, that little cube, right? So I'm somewhere in there. Well, now it's divided by 100. So the matter in me is somewhere in there. Well, we got to do this 10 more times but divide it by 76 million in order to see how much of me is in that sugar cube. That's how much matter is in the place of your body. So how much I did it this way. Let's assume this smiley face is the space of you. Here's you at 90% empty space. Here's you at 99% empty space. At 99.9% empty space. 99%. If I look closely, there's a pixel lit on my screen, right? And we got 10 more nines to go, or 11 more nines to go. So we're talking about doing that 11 more times or dividing that little pixel by 100 billion. That's how much, quote, matter is in the space of you. And then you go inside the protons and we're back into vast empty space again, made up of quarks, they say, but they have no spatial extent. That's the language. No spatial extent. So we are not what we think we are. Matter, Einstein put it this way, concerning matter, we've been all wrong. What we have called matter is energy, whose vibration has been lowered so as to be perceptible to the senses. Matter is spirit, reduced to the point of visibility. There is no matter. So I want to have us experience that rather than just talk about it. I'm going to come off share, and I'm going to ask us to just have a short experiential of the spaciousness of our body. And so for this, I'm going to do a short meditation, a breathing meditation. And it's useful if you take a deep breath and maybe close your eyes or just look down at the screen, sit up straight, relaxed. All traditions start with the breath. So I want you to just notice your breath. Bring your attention to your breath. You don't have to breathe any differently. Just notice the sensation of breathing. As if you're noticing it for the first time. The physical and subtle sensations of the in-breath, the out-breath, the rise and fall of your chest, the rhythm or pulsation of breath in your belly. Just notice if you can feel the pulse of breath in your pelvis. The pressure wave of breathing in your pelvic floor. In the perineum. Notice if you can feel this wave of breath in your thighs. Subtle rhythm of breathing in your thighs. And down into your calves and feet. See if you can notice the sensation of breath in the bottoms of your feet. How about your sacrum? Can you feel your breath there? And tracing the sensation of your breath up your back. You feel your spine breathing. Into your throat, front and back. Into the top of your head. You feel your head breathing. Your shoulders rising and falling. Your arms, hands. So that now your whole body is breathing. Notice the rhythmic pulse of breath as it flows through your whole body. Now bring your attention into the heart space of your body. And as you breathe, see if you can just feel into the spaciousness of your body. Its emptiness. Maybe in this space you can connect to the whole group gathered here. Feel into our breathing together. It's almost as if the universe is breathing you, breathing us. Now, as you continue to pay attention to your breathing, I'm going to ask you to slowly and very slowly open your eyes if they're closed. Do this slowly while maintaining awareness, internal awareness of your breath, your whole bodily breathing, the stillness, spaciousness, and at the same time, slowly begin to look at the screen. Call this dual attention. Attention both internal and external. This is the integration that they were talking about earlier. I can be attentive to you, and I can be very aware of my internal subtle reality at the same time. I don't have to leave myself to be fully present with you. Notice that you can have both. Feel the stillness of our gathering. Yeah, good. All right, I'm going to open it up for comments. For just a few minutes, I'd like to hear from a few people what your experience of that was. And you can speak from dual attention. You can raise the hand on your screen. We'll call on some people. And you can speak from this awareness that's present in you. Yeah, great. Ginger.
Thank you so much. I felt a sense of ease to have the space to really tune in to what was going on with me energetically. And then when you invited us to feel into the group, and I felt that dance of that autonomy and that integration with wholeness and oneness.
Yeah.
And the invitation to continue to have a capacity to hold both in any given moment, I think is a tremendous invitation. I'm thinking about the various roles I play in my leadership as mother, as coach, as facilitator, and it's just such an opportunity to be in the dance, I guess, is how it's coming up for me right now. And I'm present too to just what we've gone through in the last few days, if you're in America right now, and just being able to, regardless of where you fall and how you're feeling about it post-election, just being able to reground myself and to remember my own spaciousness, my own energy, and how I can dance in the unity in the different spaces I'm in. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Beautifully said. Steve, your hand's up.
Thank you. I think my experience was one of remembering, um, and remembering the feeling of this sense of integration, and also remembering uh, how I forget and what disintegration feels
Yeah.
like. So this was an important moment sort of in the day and in this time of life to have this moment. So I think for me it was remembering.
Beautiful. There's something very familiar about it. And it's really, we're relocating the self from sort of up there and out there to back in. You can have both. And this spaciousness opens the door to intuition. So when I meditate, my mind is active. I'm listening for what wants to come through. And then as it does, I'm unpacking it. And oh, wow, I'd never thought about it that way. But it requires this receptive starting place. And this is only a starting place for the energetic, which really opens doors and pathways to insight. But if we're over yanged, we don't have the receptivity. All right, I want to do another exercise, and then we'll have time to talk and unpack this further. But first, I want to do just a little more of the science. Whoops. Einstein put it this way: the intellect has little to do on the road to discovery. This is really amazing. When you get into the sciences, the great mathematicians and scientists, they all talk about intuition. I have an interview on our website with Federico Fujin, who invented the microprocessor. He invented the technology that makes the microprocessor possible and the first microprocessor chips. And he talks very precisely about the role of intuition, that discovery, that breakthrough came in an instant. And then it took him weeks to unpack it and understand it and how to do it. But it all came at once. Jude Curvan is a colleague and a great friend. She's written a book called The Cosmic Hologram. And I don't have time to get into all the details of it, but she's a physicist and just a polymath, really a brilliant person. And in her book, she's saying she's integrating the latest and leading edge of this quantum view and how it seamlessly fits with what the great traditions have been saying about the fundamental nature of reality. And we could distill it out more, but we don't have time. There is no matter, it's all energy. And it's all energy in a field. There's a unified field. That's why empty space isn't empty. It's a field and it's everywhere. And that energy is information. So in the language of physics now, it's all information. It's information informing form. And that information is holographically organized, which means it's fractally everywhere at once. And it's updated constantly through non-locality or entanglement is what it's called. And this accounts, in Jude's opinion, for the universe's amazing capacity to self-organize into higher orders of complexity and life and conscious life. And what's really being described here is a universe that's learning. And it's learning in and through and with us in a co-creative relationship. This guy, I won't get into all of his credentials. He's a world-renowned neurologist, professor emeritus at Mayo Clinic and 80 academic medical centers around the country, around the world. He has a book called A Theory of Reality. And the first sentence says, your brain is not responsible for your consciousness or your thinking. Memory is not located in the brain, in his opinion. It's in the field. The brain is a transceiver to the field. He calls it the consciousness field. And so here in neurology and in physics and quantum biology, there's an emerging bow wave about this informational reality that we live in. And so what Emerson said is literally true now. And the way that we're conceiving and understanding fundamental reality is that we do lie in the lap of immense intelligence, and that we are the receivers of its truth and the organs of its activity. And so much of that has been distilled out of our paradigm, our understanding of reality, that we don't think to really invest in developing our intuitive capacity, our ability to tap into this field. And so I want to do a second practice that I use a lot and that I learned from Peter Senge's group, Innovation Associates, back in the 80s. And it's called the teacher exercise. And I'm gonna just lead you through a guided reflection, guided meditation. You'll be on a walk in the woods. I may do a little bit of kind of circulating light and energy before that to set it up. You'll be on a walk in the woods. You'll come upon a schoolhouse, a one-room schoolhouse. And you'll walk into the schoolhouse and you'll meet your teacher. And however that happens, and you're going to have a conversation with the teacher. So I'd like you to think about an important question that life is asking of you right now. Something you'd like to get some insight about. And we're going to take that question to the teacher. And at some point, I'll ask you to ask your teacher. And so let's just drop in here. It's helpful, I think, to close your eyes for this one. And again, back to your breathing. Back into that spaciousness. With your attention in the heart space. Energy follows intention. So with your attention in the heart, just allow it to soften and open and receive. You don't have to know how to do this. Energy follows intention and attention. So just soften, open. See if you can receive more information, more energy in your heart. Now with your attention there, open the top of your head. Just let the top of your head open, soften, and receive light, energy, flow down from above, through your head, into your heart. And traveling down from the heart into your belly, your abdomen, the pelvic floor, filling the whole frontal line of your body. Softening the pelvis, opening the pelvic floor. Receiving energy from below, from Mother Earth. Turning at the sacrum, the energy goes up the back. So that you're literally circulating energy down from above, through the head, through the heart, opening the pelvis, and then up the back. Trace it right up the back to the head again. And allow this energy flow to expand, to open. Now, while you're circulating this energy, I want you to imagine that you're on a walk in the woods. It's a perfect day. Perfect temperature, beautiful sunlight. As you walk, notice the different sense details of the woods. Find that you walk effortlessly, easily, breathing, whole bodily breathing, inner and outer attention lit up with energy. Take in the woods, the sounds, the smells, feel of the breeze. And then you're come to a one-room schoolhouse. How that happens doesn't matter. And you're attracted to it. So you walk up to it, you open the door, you walk inside. Sit down, chair or desk, and your teacher appears. And allow the connection between you and your teacher to grow, to build. Feel a sense of love or communion with your teacher. Feel that connection. And now you have a question for your teacher. So when your mind asks the question of the teacher, and then listen for the response from the teacher. Don't censor anything. Just accept what you get. What does your teacher have to say to you? Show you? Be curious. Ask again, ask more. What do you mean by that? Or whatever occurs to you to ask, be in a conversation. Now it's come time for your conversation with the teacher to end. Say goodbye to your teacher, but stay connected as you leave the schoolhouse. And now at your own speed, open your eyes slowly, staying in connection and dual attention. I'd like you to write in the chat a sentence or a short phrase, either what you learned from the teacher or anything that seems important to share about your experience with the teacher. So I'm going to go just a minute, have you jot some things in chat, and then we'll open up for a few comments and then wrap up. And just take a look at what people have written. Be bold, take more risks. The teacher and I are one. You're not alone. This moment is all we have. Stay open, be clear. What am I afraid of? Now, let me just see a show of hands. Who found the teacher gave you some very useful input? Just let's see, just raise your hand. Yeah, notice that. So let's hear from a few people. I got my own hand raised. But let's just hear from a few. We have about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes to kind of hear what that experience was like. I'm not interested as much in the walk in the woods and who the teacher appeared as, but like, what did you learn or notice about that experience that seems important to say? Al, I don't know if your hand is up from just when I ask people to raise hands, but if you want to speak, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. That was really powerful. Really appreciate that. Yeah, for me, I think it was really this place of there's just this calm and this clarity that there's this place where I've been looking outside myself. And that really for me, it came as that all the confidence, clarity, answers that I'm wanting and seeking are within me, and to stop looking outwardly.
Yeah.
That I'm looking outward too much, and that everything I need is within me. And I had a bias of always looking outside of myself and not trusting myself fully.
Yeah, you are literally made up of this immense intelligence. It's informing you. It is your body and the field of your body. And it's immensely intelligent. Great.
Yeah, and then it's always here, that it's always available. That also is there.
Yeah. It's never not here.
Right. Never not here. Yes. Thank you.
Krista?
Thanks, Bob. Good to see you again. My reflection is very similar to Al's. My inner teacher right away, even though in my mind's eye, my inner teacher, well, my teacher didn't look like me. It was a man, older, different culture. I realized that it was my inner teacher. It was me. And this plays in with some thoughts I've been having lately around how a lot of the folks I work with are looking for an outer teacher to tell them how to be or what to do or how to navigate complexity, and how my role is really not to be that outside teacher, but to help midwife the inner teacher of everyone. That we really do have so many answers within us if we get quiet and centered enough to listen and become aware. So that's what my inner teacher had to remind me.
Great. Let's do one more. Shelley and Leslie, your hand is up. Leslie Shank.
Yes, hello. So grateful to be here. My experience was profoundly being energized, that the light, I had been feeling some heaviness, and I felt completely relieved of that heaviness. And stepping here now feeling so energized and light. So the experience of moving through and tapping in has it's like very refreshing.
Yeah, beautiful.
So I feel refreshed. Yes.
What I did there were two practices. One is an awareness practice, a breathing practice. All the traditions have them. And a very brief introduction to energy circulation practice, which is also in many of the traditions and healing traditions and so on. And it does energize the body because your body is energy. And the more we're in a reactive state, the more constricted that flow is. That's what reactivity is. It's a contracted state. And so just intentionally opening, releasing that and allow more flow, which is information. So you're at once more energized, more calm, more centered, and more available for the information that's trying to find you. And this is my practice every day. I sit and I bake in this energy, and then ideas rise in crowds. I'm working on a new design. It's an edgy thing. I'm pushing into uncharted territory for myself in a 3-day workshop, and I'm stuck on it. And I sit, and yesterday, in it came. And I went from feeling, boy, I'm not sure this design is going to come together, to going, there it is. Okay. Oh yeah, that. Oh, okay. And there's a feeling of rightness about it, when that happens. And so the design of the workshop is starting to gel up. It's not complete yet. There's more to come, but it's informing me. And this is how I work. And you can hear the rational after the imbalance. And then I'm trying to figure it out. I'm stuck. I step back. Boom. Then I got to figure out what just came in and start to play with it and place it. And so it's this weave that I think others, that we're playing with here. So let's step back, and I'm going to just let us close out here. Share, I'm not going to do much with. I just want to say that this intuition stuff has been well researched. And if you want to read about it, I got an interview with Dean Radin on our website. He's amazing. They put all these intuition trials together, and when they do the statistics on it, the odds against chance, the odds beyond chance are a billion to one. It's just like, this is a well-established and proven capacity that we have. So I'm going to come off share and then let our hosts have some closing comments.
Oh, thank you so much, Bob, and thank you everyone for for being with us and sharing this moment. Every time I do this, I get new insights into many questions that I have, and it's amazing how it just flows. There were some quite wonderful questions in the chat around this was a way to ground yourself, but how do you translate that into more complex business where it's the subjective and the intersubjective. And if we had 7 hours or 2 days, which we do when we do these integrated leadership experiences in business and systems context, we would go into that. But that's exactly what Kay and I and Unlocking Eve are really motivated and committed to, that we unlock this integration in all. And intuition is just one of the 8 capacities. And where we found the magic really happens is when your expansion of those capacities, intuition is just one, communal, empowering power, when those combinations start to unlock, 5 or more of those start to unlock, you start to see a completely different way of operating in terms of being able to solve complex problems and also systems level issues. So these systems issues like climate, healthcare, you name it, whether it's migration, climate, healthcare, crisis, war, they're interrelated issues, and they take a huge amount of integration of a human being and then integration between each other, and then applying that capacity in a durable way across the context in which you operate in, which is very, very hard to do, but very, very necessary. And so by 2030, we want to impact 100 million leaders, and we want to make progress with these leaders on SDG 3 and SDG 5. 3 is gender equity and 5 is health equity. And the reason why we talk about gender equity is because if we unlock the gender, then we unlock most of the other SDGs. But it's not really about gender, is it? It's about access to a human capacity we all have. And this is the leap, and this is the narrative, and this is the paradigm shift we really want to get out there into mainstream, so that this information that's getting accessed, that is getting downloaded into men and women, that it's not only a small proportion of the elite in power that are able to then access that information and act on it. Every human being is accessing information. Somebody put that Einstein didn't say that he was getting a lot of the information from his wife. I chuckled at that. I didn't know that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Marie Curie got 2 Nobel Prizes in physics and in chemistry. Her husband helped her get there. So I think the idea is, how do we help each other, whoever's downloading, and help them manifest this in the world as fast as possible, and stop and kind of blur the lines on even the feminine, masculine. But anyhow, thank you so much. Our next webinar is going to be on December 6th, and we're going to go into a few more practices. A few more practices. How can you connect with us? You can connect with us through. We will share our contact information for sure. We often publish white papers. The next white papers we publish, we might actually crowdsource. We might actually publish a version of it and then send it out to a community like this and get you to critique, input, output. Just like a collective wisdom. So when we do that, if we have your information, we'll be sending information like that out in January. Next year, we're going to be doing a lot more publications on kind of this in context, wisdom, ancient wisdom in context of modern business. All of you have so much to share. We'll share our information. Of course, you can also go to Unlocking Eve. I feel so like I'm infomercial. I don't want to say this, but you asked, so it's just unlockingeve.org. But there's our contact information there and our stuff, and you can get in touch with us. We answer all the emails. Our community isn't huge, but it's the right community. And I think that's all I wanted to share. Just huge gratitude to Bob, to all of you for your presence. If you get ideas if you get ideas about how to amplify this work, or what to correct and what to add, you just send us whatever your intuition comes to send us, and we'll be sure to incorporate your thinking and continue working with Bob and many others and evolving this work as a collective. Kay, maybe final word to you. You always ground us with something lovely and beautiful before we end.
Thank you, Ava and Bob, and thank you, everyone. Just to share again what Unlocking Eve is about, and these capacities and these practices are really critical. and fundamental for us to heal the world. And I think there is a sense of this here, but also all over. And us as leaders, us as humans, really need to be able to transcend what our current paradigms are, whether that's in leadership. And Unlocking Eve is about really shifting this paradigm and the norm of what leadership excellence looks like. And we're really excited to continue the work with you. And as Ava said, the continuous research that we have and getting the wisdom from all of this wonderful community. So thank you. We hope that you have a great rest of your day, and thank you, everyone.